Hi guys. This is Raccoon. The anime recap I'm sharing today is interviews with monster girls. This is a story about the succubus. No matter where the succubus goes, the eyes of all men will be on her, and those who touch her can't restrain their desires. When the succubus falls in love with a human, things are about to get interesting. She needs to keep others from getting crazy for her charm and make sure her goal falls in love with her. Let's see how she's going to balance these two aspects. The story begins with a biology teacher named Tetsuo, who lives in a world with a small number of Demi. He has always been interested in the demi-human species, but he has never seen a real demi-human until this day. A new teacher, called Soto, comes to a school. A succubus Soto's dress is very simple, but it doesn't take away the fact that she looks gorgeous. Tetsuo tries to get closer to Soto several times, but Soto always chooses to avoid it. After the two of them get along for a good while, Soto slowly puts down her grudges and tells Tetsuo that when the succubus is in contact with others, they will be tempted by her unconsciously. As a teacher, she must avoid such things from. Tetsuo is frustrated that even though he meets a demi-human in person, he can't get closer to her. Fortunately, he soon meets other demi-humans. Kuri, a freshman who just enrolls, suddenly rushes to him for help, asking him to help carry an unwell student to the infirmary on the way to the infirmary. Tetsuo intends to see how the patient's doing by observing the patient's complexion. To his surprise, the sixth student has no face and is a. The Dan name is Kyoko. Her head and body are separated. The head has been sent to the infirmary by Ari. When Tetsuo carries Kyoko to the infirmary, a snow woman named Yuki is also sent here. Tetsuo is shocked because he doesn't expect that he will meet 3 demi-humans in one day, while Kuri on the side stays very calm. Tetsuo wonders why Har is so calm, only to learn that Kuri is also a demi-human and she is a vampire. Tetsuo is quite excited and invites Ha to his office. He wants to know more about the demi. In return for Tetsuo's rescue, Ha joyfully agrees. The vampires will feel uncomfortable under the strong light, but the office is relatively dark. That's why she likes Tetsuo's office very much. Tetsuo takes out a vampire storybook to ask Kuri for confirmation, many of which are denied by Kuri. For example, it is said vampires will die when they meet garlic and crosses, but Kuri actually enjoys garlic a lot. She tells Tetsuo that the state provides all vampires with a pack of blood each month as a supply. Some vampires don't drink blood. They're like vegetarians who don't. Katsu raises a question. If Kuri ever felt the urge to bite with her teeth, the answer turns out to be yes, Ha's classmate. Yuki is a cute girl with low body temperature. When Kuri sees her, she often has the idea of biting this cute girl slightly. Tetsuo assumes that the more Ha's affection has for a person, the more she wants to suck the blood of that person. He guesses that when Kuri is in love, he will be able to verify this. Kuri has never been in love because she is too shy. She accuses Tetsuo of being too. She tries to bite Tetsuo as punishment. The prank is exposed before it happens, and Kuri shows a mischievous smile and embarrassment. When Kuri returns to the classroom, Kyoko has come back to normal. The classmates in the class chat with Kyoko friendly, and the topic of her head is kindly avoided by her classmates. The deliberate avoidance makes Kyoko unable to fit in. Kuri has a straightforward personality. She asks Kyoko if it is troublesome for her to hold her head to go to school. Out of curiosity, other classmates are shocked by her question, but Kyoko doesn't mind it at all and chats generously with her. They're both demi-humans and have a lot in common. It doesn't take long for them to become good friends. Chako hears about Tetsuo from Kuri. CCO is very fond of Tetsuo because Tetsuo helped her before, and she also wants to chat with this teacher who likes to study demi-humans. Chako comes to Tetsuo's office alone and thanks the teacher for sending her to the infirmary earlier. Tetsuo thinks that the act of Kyoko holding her head is very interesting, and the fire around her neck is even more fascinating. After getting Kyoko's consent, Tetsuo touches the fire. The special thing about the fire is that it has no temperature, which makes Kyoko uncomfortable. When it's compressed, Kyoko can only put her head on her hands to ease the discomfort. Fortunately, her body and head can be separated by a long distance. Once her body left with the car, while her head was still in the hands of her family members, nothing wrong happened. She confides to Tetsuo that she feels detached too. Another. Classmates are always afraid to talk about. Tetsuo suggests that Chako take the initiative to discuss relevant topics in front of her classmates so that they will be more open. Inspired by Tetsuo's suggestion, Chako decides to find a chance to try the method. Also, Chako notices that Tetsuo has inquired a lot about the Dohan in advance of the conversation. After knowing that everything Tetsuo did is for being responsible for every student, Chako is deeply moved. She asks Tetsuo to pet her head, which is the way the Doha hands like to be treated the most. Tetsuo gently complies with Koko's request. Kyoko blushes when she feels Tetsuo's body. She knows she's in love with him. She wants to fall in love with Tetsuo, but being insecure as a Dohan, she tells her only friend Kuri about her troubles. Kuri doesn't think that being the Dohan is Koko's shortcoming, and she also points out that Dohan can have romantic relationships regardless of whether the other party is human or demi. Human Kyoko is still a little hesitant. The mischievous Kuri just takes out her mobile phone and lies that Kyoko wants to learn how to live with her head and body parted and invites Te. Kuri asks Tetsuo to take Kyo's head out for shopping while she is in charge of guarding Kyo's body. Kyoko is thrilled because this is the first time she goes out on a date with someone she likes. She uses her body to write her appreciation on the paper. The mischievous Kuri thinks Kyo's body movement looks interesting, and she tries to make some pranks. She plays tricks on Kyoko's body, causing Kyoko to scream, and it's almost discovered by Tetsuo during the time they spent together. Tetsuo knows that Kyoko has some inconveniences in her. For example, the school requires students to use handbags, but Koko's hands are used to hold her head. So Tetsuo suggests to the principal as soon as he returns to school that Kyoko is allowed to use a backpack. The proposal is approved by the principal. Soto happens to overhear their conversation, and she is surprised that Tetsuo can take into account the difficulties of the demi-humans, and she has a good impression of it. Soto wants to get closer to Tetsuo, but unfortunately, she is a succubus. Scuba can easily seduce others, especially when they are asleep. Sometimes she dozes off on the train, causing other passengers to have some bad dreams. To prevent riots, Soto can only live in the desolate suburbs. The lonely Soto really wants to fall in love. She rejects those men who are simply attracted by her special physique. What she wants is the real love. Soto soon discovers that Tetsuo is the ideal candidate. One day she accidentally falls at school and Tetsuo holds. She hurriedly pulls out her hand, but Tetsuo doesn't seem to be seduced by her at all. Sato is surprised. She thinks Tetsuo is someone who will not be easily influenced by her. In reality, Tetsuo is just pretending to be calm. His legs are shaking all the time. Unfortunately, as soon as Sato finds her target, she encounters her rival as well. Chako is thinking about ways to pursue Tetsuo recently. She feels that Soto must have rich experience and love since she is such. She asks Soto specifically about this question. Soto doesn't expect Kyoko also fancy Tetsuo. After hearing about the experience of Kyoko and Tetsuo getting along, she is envious and disappointed. Until now. She hasn't even said a few words to Tetsuo to not reveal her true thoughts. She can only suppress her feelings and gives Kyoko some suggestions based on the plots she has read in the novel. In the meanwhile, the person who weeps quietly on the other side of the school is. She is considered an arrogant person by her classmates because she rarely participates in school activities. She overhears them talking bad about her today. Tetsuo finds Yuki being depressed when he passes by and he asks her about her situation with concern. Yuki seems to have found an exit to vent her emotions, throwing herself into Tetsuo's arms and crying out for her classmates' prejudice against her, but Yuki is always reluctant to tell the reason she doesn't fit in with. Tetsuo guesses that it is probably related to some characteristics of snow women and tries to find information about snow women to help her. At this time, Soto appears to get closer to Tetsuo. She offers to help him solve problems for his students. Just like the way Tetsuo helped Kyoko, seeing Soto getting closer and closer, Tetsuo's heart beats faster, and he agrees to her proposal right away and tells the story about Yuki. The matter is that Yuki is reluctant to open herself up to talk about the reason she can't fit in. After their discussion, they think that they should give Yuki some time to guide her to express her. Later, Tetsuo sees Zari dragging Soto to confront the girls who speak ill of Yuki. The conversation she heard between Yuki and Tetsuo yesterday irritated Kuri. She blames the girls who spoke ill of Yuki behind her back and made her cry, thinking that they should apologize. The girls are not malicious. They never expected that a few random words would cause harm to others, so they apologized to Yuki guiltily. Tetsuo is glad to see that all the students can accept and live with each other's flaws, but he knows he has to address the root cause. He gathers several demi-humans. He knows and tells them that they can talk to him at any time if they have any troubles in the future. He wants to make Yuki feel at ease to express her worries freely. The mischievous Kuri is the first to point out that her trouble is that she has never hugged Tetsuo without waiting for Tetsuo to respond. She takes the initiative to hug him. She feels that Tetsuo's hug is very soothing and encourages Kyoko and Yuki to hug him. The harmonious relationship between Tetsuo and the demi-humans makes Yuki gradually realize that Tetsuo is a reliable person. Soon after Yuki finally opens herself up to talk to Tetsuo about her troubles as a snow woman, her body temperature is much lower than that of others. Recently, when she is taking a bath, she finds that some ice crystals appear in the water. When she is depressed, she starts to worry that the people who come into contact with her would be frostbitten, so she stays away from other classmates to avoid it from happening. Tetsuo finds that by consulting the information, most of the legends about the snow woman are tragedies, and the ice crystals and the tragedy and the legend are probably related to the special physique of the snow. After hearing this, Yuki feels a bit down at this time. Some frost appears at her feet, and Tetsuo assumes that her mood is the main reason for ice crystals and frost. To appear to prove this, he asks Yuki to soak her feet in a basin of warm water and read aloud about the tragedy of the snow woman. A while later, some ice crystals appear in the water after the investigation. Tetsuo tells Yuki that when she is mentally burdened, the cold sweat from her body would form ice crystals. These ice crystals aren't even cold enough to cool the water down. They're completely harmless and she won't hurt. Yuki is relieved when she hears it and her tears flow out of excitement. These tears don't freeze, which confirms Tetsuo's idea. After that, Yuki gets along better with her classmates. Among them, she has the closest relationship with Kyoko and Kuri. She often agrees to some unreasonable requests made by Kuri and even allows Kuri to bite her gently. Tetsuo is very pleased. He believes that the tragedy of the legendary snow woman will not happen to Yuki again because she is happier than any snow woman in the legend after school. Katsu meets Sari's sister, Jimari, on. Jimari is also a student of Tetsuo, but she is not a vampire, precisely. Kuri is the only vampire in their family when they talk about Ari. Jimari laments. The Kuri as a vampire actually likes to eat garlic, which is completely inconsistent with the style of who she is. Tetsuo refutes her. He recently discovers through observation that vampires have sharper senses than humans, which is the reason they hate garlic and light. Kuri likes garlic because she has a strong taste, which shows that each vampire has a different personality, just like humans have various prefer. Jimari is amazed at Tetsuo's understanding of vampires and invites him to be a guest at home, hoping that through his explanation, the family could understand Kuri better. Even though Tetsuo agrees to the invitation, he finds that it's not a suitable place to discuss it at all when he arrives throughout the night. Kuri is playing pranks while Jimari is busy. Reprimanding Kuri, their father, tells Tetsuo that the sisters quarrel a lot, but they have a good relationship and Jimari braids Ha's hair every day. Tetsuo smiles and Kuri looks like an ordinary human. Ha's mischief soon pays a price after that. Jimari refuses to braid Ha's hair and looks at the stunt Ha's with complacency. After arriving at school, Jimari shows off to Tetsuo. Her punishment to Kuri. Tetsuo says worriedly that Kuri can't braid her hair because it is rumored that vampires can't see themselves in the mirror. Jimari worries that her caprice will embarrass Hack, so she rushes to the classroom, regretfully wanting to apologize to Ari. No one would have thought that Ari had already braided. Only then did Jimari realize that she forgot the fact that every time Kuri braided her hair, she also looked in the mirror, which means that Kuri asked for help from Jimari before because she was lazy. Jimari punishes Kuri angrily. It seems that the sisters are destined to not get along peacefully. Soon after, a policeman named Aki brings his assistant to the school to visit Sato. He is the policeman in charge of the Succubus, and he takes care of all the scuba in the. Aga has been a father figure to Soto since she was a child. Soto tells a guy that she has fallen in love with Tetsuo, a teacher at the same school, and he is the only one who cannot be seduced by her. A guy knows the trait of Succubus very well, and he tells Soto with certainty that as long as he is a man, he will definitely be seduced by the Succubus. These words make Soto realize that Tetsuo's calmness is disguised when he is with her, but she is not. Instead, she is excited that Tetsuo is also seduced by her. A guy takes the opportunity to suggest she hurry up to seduce Tetsuo. Once Tetsuo is taken away by others, it will be too late. Soto decides to give it a try, but she doesn't plan to gain love in this way. She just wants to appreciate Tetsuo's shy look. Aga's visit catches Tetsuo's attention and he asks him about the Succubus. Out of curiosity, during the conversation he realizes that Tetsuo genuinely cares about the living conditions of Da. And tells Tetsuo that criminals are often prone to appear in Succubus. Soto is a rather well-behaved one. Among scuba demi-humans are often ostracized in human society and they were treated like monsters. It is only a few decades ago that humans and demi-humans began to live together peacefully. He hopes that Tetsuo could protect Soto and the other demi-humans in the school. Tetsuo happily agrees to Aga's request. Soto starts her action as soon as a guy leaves. She asks Tetsuo to study the characteristics of the Succubus together, and she takes off her clothes claiming that it is for letting him experience the feeling of being seduced. Tetsuo seems very calm, but in reality, he is about to lose control. He can only get distracted by focusing on Soto's hair. He starts to try to analyze the characteristics of the Succubus. Only thinking can keep him calm. Soto looks at Tetsuo's serious face, thinking that he is cute. By the end of the analysis, Tetsuo finally gets relaxed and shows Soto is very satisfied that her goal has been achieved. At this moment, several demi-human girls are discussing the topic of love unexpectedly. It comes to the topic of the kiss. Kuri is the only one who has the kissing experience she's bragging about. She once kissed Tetsuo for a prank, and the only pity was that Tetsuo did not respond. Other girls envy her, and they all have a crush on Tetsuo. Ha's experience encourages Kyoko to think that can be allowed to kiss Tetsuo, and so can she. Kyoko holds her head up and tries to approach Tetsuo, but almost drops her head clumsily. Tetsuo is terrified that she would get hurt and blames her for being too clumsy, and then he takes Kyoko to the office to rest and talk about the Dan. During this conversation, Tetsuo learns that there are 3 dull hands in the world, including Kyoko, and they have many unsolved secrets. One of the most interesting things for Tetsuo is how they can live a normal life with their heads and bodies separated. To find the answer to this question, he brings Kyoko to his friend, a physics researcher. The researcher asks Kyoko about some life problems and assumes that Kyo's neck is a wormhole connecting her head and body, and the flame on her body is the result of the distortion of the wormhole. Tetsuo puts forward he believes that Kyoko can speak normally, proving that her next structure is the same as that of a human being. He assumes that Koko's neck is in another world connected to her through a wormhole, and the flame is used to prevent humans from prying into other worlds. Kyoko listens to the conversation between them and finds it very interesting. This is the first time she has had such an in-depth understanding of the Dan. She becomes more and more curious about what the Dohan has to do with the mysteries of this world. Kyoko expresses an idea to Tetsuo, saying that she wants to become a researcher specializing in the study of the. Tetsuo is very pleased that his guidance allows students to find the direction of their future endeavors. It is something very fulfilling for him when he returns to school. Ikaria breaks into his office and asks him a question. She notices that in the picture she takes at night, her eyes always glow. Tetsuo believes that this phenomenon has something to do with vampires. Keen sight. Many creatures' eyes can reflect nearby light sources, and they have the same characteristics as they like to be active at night. He laments that Ha's various habits are very different from human beings, and it must be very inconvenient for her school. Ha is an independent girl. She has been trying to live the same life as other students, and she doesn't find it difficult. She is recently planning to play in the open-air swimming pool with her classmates and proposes to Tetsuo to borrow the school's open-air swimming pool on weekends to adapt to the strong sunlight. Tetsuo sees Ha's determination and agrees to this request after seeking the approval of Ha's family. For the sake of safety, Tetsuo contacts Soto to go to the outdoor swimming pool. Soto thinks that Tetsuo is inviting her on a date and makes adequate preparations. When she arrives at the swimming pool, she finds out that Tetsuo is with Kuri, and Kuri invites all the girls from the class. Soto doesn't want to give up approaching Tetsuo because of the crowd. She takes the initiative to show Tetsuo a nicely prepared swimsuit. Soto in the swimsuit is so attractive that Tetsuo completely loses his control. Soto hides her delight by looking at the pool with. In the swimming pool, Kuri is playing around joyfully with her friends. She gradually gets used to the strong light and comes back to her usual liveliness. She finds that Koko has never tried diving, and she wants to let Kyoko see the scenery in the water. Tetsuo from the shore hurriedly stops her, and he believes that adults should be responsible for this dangerous action. After he asks Koko's family for permission by phone. All the girls blush when Tetsuo takes off his swimsuit, revealing his full muscles. He holds Kyoko's head firmly and takes her under. Kyoko is stunned for the first time. She sees the wonderful view of the light filtering through the water. It is the best pool activity she has ever experienced, accompanied by Soto and Tetsuo. The girls have a fun day in the pool. Tetsuo realizes his initial dream, and his relationship with the demi-humans grows closer. The demi-humans at the school regard him as their closest friend. In the future, Tetsuo will continue to help other demi-humans. He encounters to find the best way to live in the. This story ends here in this anime. Human students always avoid discussing the characteristics of demi-humans when they get along with demi-human students. They have good intentions, but demi-humans prefer that people discuss the differences between demi-humans and humans openly because they know that these differences will not disappear by avoiding them in the whole story. Only the teacher named Tetsuo achieves this. He researches a lot of knowledge about demi-humans, and he lets the students have the discussion openly, to be precise. He can successfully solve their study and life problems because he knows demi-humans well. The main character Tetsuo can't help reminding me of my student days. If I could meet such a good teacher who knows how to communicate with students, maybe I won't get an F in every exam. Have you ever met a teacher who changed your life? Feel free to share your story in the comments section. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I'll show you more interesting anime recaps in the future. Bye.